My name's Claire Loder and I'm an artist. This day has been called the Greensand Residency, and I've been in collaboration with Found Outdoors, who own this beautiful woodland and meadow area. We've invited 13 artists into our space, and there's been some kind of provocations. We've talked a little bit about the climate breakdown, about decolonising, thinking about land use, land access, who is in this space and who isn't in this space in terms of humans in the more than human world. So we've talked to them about ecology. There's been themes around climate breakdown, connectivity, emotions around the natural world. All of that kind of is in that kind of pot, and we've allowed the artists to walk around the site, explore it in whatever way they see fit, and to bring back those findings and thoughts and all sorts back to the group and share with the group.
And we found this place in August 2020. It's a lot bigger than we originally had in mind. We were looking for about 10 acres and this is 54. I think COVID's kind of strengthened my will a bit. I'm the cautious half of the equation, and I just went, oh, this is, you know, you only get one go, let's just try it.
I'm also a resident in a community in Bath. We've got lots of green, but we're right on the edge of Bath. We're in Whiteway, so really tucked away, and it's a kind of disregarded, overlooked part of the city. It seems to feel like there's this great opportunity to work with a values-based, like, why am I making this work? What's my work saying?
I try to offer entry points and tools into ways of rethinking the way you think, the way we think, and expanding the concept of reflexivity to understand decolonising's kind of significance on interconnected levels as well as on an individual level.
Definitely different, like, well, sort of atmospheres as you walk through the woods, like, and that's quite often reflected by what trees are around. And then you go into the meadow and it feels very different and there's light. And I think it is helped by the fact you're quite sensitive to that because you know that you're consciously observing. So your senses are kind of heightened.
That's actually, I met the other guy who is also in this residency, and then he shared with me he digged some clay around the pond, and I think it's good to try different clay. I actually been dig clay in Bath before, and I tried it, and it does the color, you never know how it will turn because it's quite dark as I used to salt the clay. Yeah, so I think after fire it might turn dark gray or black, hopefully.
So it's been really easy just to get into conversation. Often these kinds of events are happening inside buildings, so there's always that kind of awkwardness, and there's a navigating of the kind of architecture and the rhetoric of the space and the tools and the furniture, whereas this feels like you're just invited in, you just start engaging with this open soft border.
Wandering around the woods this morning, you know, by myself, I was just struck with I could do that, but I don't ever really do that very often. So it's almost like being given permission just to kind of slow down and let your thoughts jumble around in your head and spend a bit of time noticing and observing and not really having any end goal in sight. I think is quite liberating. But the minute it's in your hands and you kind of sort of spend time with it, it becomes special, doesn't it? And Yeah, and there's something quite amazing about this, like the weight of it and the texture, and then you kind of think, well, what's happened? What was this? How did this die? And what was that slow decaying process like? And there's all sorts of stories.
I want to understand the ecology of my life in the same way as we understand the ecology of nature, so that there's more accord between those two elements of my life. COVID slowed everything down so much that we were drawn to nature more. We could hear the pauses between the birds' song. We could actually be for a while. And so those pauses, those spaces between the compressed life that we normally live at work and nature, where you breathe and where you live, became more important, and I want to hold on to that.
There's a quote that keeps coming to mind, which is, I haven't quite got the exact quote right, but the sentiment is walking with your ears on your feet, which is a Pauline Oliveros thing. I'm really tuned in with the listening to things.
So this is a pilot project. Hopefully the artists will go away and maybe let some of the things that have happened in the woods can percolate, and they can share with us and the rest of the group what that means for their arts practice. There's been some wonderful things around narrative, just letting the group share their stories, and there was a lot about listening to the bird song, this change of atmosphere from the woodland through to the meadow, the change in temperature, and the sounds and the light. So all those kind of atmospheric things that aren't visible, I guess, it's kind of the intangibles.